Dimp Digital presents Idle Game Chat.
Cool.
Hello, apps here from Dimp Digital. Welcome to Idle Game Chat. This is Dimp Digital's flagship video game podcast where we take you through the ups and downs of the wonderful world of video games. We're here on your favourite podcast app and YouTube absolutely free. However, if you want to support this independent grassroots endeavour, head over to patreon.com/Dimp Digital and join the community. Hashtag hand in pocket. I need to tone that down, that community thing, because that will...
just cuts out again like the old.
Oh, the delay news, yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty wretched when I listen to it back, so that needs to be absolutely done. But as you heard, I'm here with the other gaming governor.
Paul Ince himself.
He's part of the gaming clique, but he is a disgrace and dishonest. Dimp Digital Gaming Quiz charlatan. It's Isla Sheet, Tom Adkins, not Adcock, who is not a cheat officially. How's it going?
Yeah, not too shabby, baby. How are you?
Yeah, it's all right. Not too bad. I've got a bit of a backache. I was complaining to Logan earlier about backaches, and these Secret Lab chairs ain't the one. So might install or look to get some sort of standing desk converter and spend a few hours a day standing up whilst working. So we'll see how that goes. Speaking of Logan, he has subscribed in the Twitch chat, so we thank you for that. That goes back into my back pocket that no one gets to see. But we're here to talk about some video games. Now, you were off last week. There was nothing to talk about, so if all the weeks to bail out, there was almost... I mean, there's things like A Plague Tale Requiem had like a gameplay trailer, which didn't, to me, look all that good. A little bit rough, but there was a few bits and pieces. But
direct.
Wow,
Xenoblade, wasn't it? Chucked it.
Yeah, that was. It's not really.
Start with 3. We'll work our way backwards.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's just of no interest because we're not going to be playing that until another 200 hours have been put into 1 and 2. So 20 minutes of that was no good. But then it was post Summer Game Fest, so there's always going to be that little hangover. This week's been a bit of a strange week. Now we'll do a little whistle stop tour of as the week as I see it, and I've probably missed stuff. I've probably got everything wrong, but I feel like this is the best way to handle this because we will be having a mid-year check-in for the 2022 gaming franchises and companies and games. How good has 2022 been up until this point? Since we're now officially in half 2 of 2020, that's mad, really, isn't it? 6 months wasted again. I always think, I'll do that in a few weeks, and now it's like the second half of the year. I'm like, well, I still haven't done that. It's not ideal, is it? Anyway, the strange week. These are not in chronological order, but we got things like we had the rumours of a release date for God of War Ragnarok circulating. So, look, our gaming snitch, who we've been patting on the back, he hasn't missed yet. He put out a GIF of Kratos doing the thumbs up thing, I think it was. It was clearly an edited or deep faked one, whatever they do. And it had what people have assumed, I'm not clever enough to figure this out myself, binary code or language or whatever you want to call it. And it's spelt 30. We've gone past the 30th of June, so there was some to and fro. We thought, the snitch is clearly looking for that as a potential release. That came and went. We had nothing, and there were reports suggesting that there was a last-minute change to that plan. So Tom Henderson, who's like another named kind of leaker, said, yeah, that's been changed. So we didn't get any God of War news. Maybe we'll get it next week or it'll come at another point. But Ragnarok seemingly not going to be updated for the audience in the next coming days. But that caused some dick pics to start being sent to developers. And
Absolute cocks being sent.
yeah, I don't know if they're people's own cocks or just random cocks.
Yeah.
It's surely more offensive if it's your own cock and you send it to someone. That is, if you just sent a picture of a penis, I think I don't know. No one's dick picked me yet. No, you have. I'm sure you have. Actually, I'm pretty sure you have.
Must have.
Anyway, this wasn't the jovial kind of thing. This was random people on the internet sending women pictures of cocks. So that got people's backs up. Corey, the big man, creative director of God of War and now Santa Monica Studios, he got involved saying, "Oh, pack that in." Then Big Phil Spencer, friend of the show, he jumped in with what I would describe. I would describe this as a bit of a stealth dick pic to Corey. He sort of said, all nicey nice, saying, "Well, we can't wait to enjoy God of War. Thanks to you and your team for putting all the hard work in to create games we love." So he's on the poach there. That's a stealth dick pic in my view. That's not. He's clever about it because you can't get caught out. Pubes. Yeah, absolutely. It's just a quick little half jobby maybe.
Tucked in.
Yes, absolutely. Then EA ruffled feathers by sending a joke tweet, taking a dig at single-player games. And it's like, of all the companies to... It's just like, EA, no, you're not in a position to be standing on any... Don't even make jokes. Just get on with the jobs at hand, because you've blown so many things in the last few years. They got crucified for that. Even their own staff... Vince Zampella, our favourite head of Respawn Entertainment, he got involved and sent a little message saying, what is it, a little facepalm, clearly displeased. And others that had been laid off by EA for making single-player games decided to voice their displeasure. So they climbed down off the back of that and said, "Oh, we'll take the L and whatnot." And then Nintendo decided that we were going to just chuck in this Nintendo Direct Mini Partner Showcase, it's called. 26 minutes long. I mean, what is that?
Unbelievable.
What is that? What? That's not 26 minutes. Ain't mini.
No, it ain't, is it?
I think it's got to be sub 20 to be called a mini showcase. No Bayonetta 3, so don't come knocking on my door unless that's ready to be shown. No. Show me Sonic Frontiers, which did look actually okay in the small trailer. I know it got absolutely crapped on when they released the the sort of gameplay that IGN had. So Nintendo are up to their old tricks again. Redfall, I don't know why they're talking. They've got like at least 6, 7, 8, probably 9 months until this game comes out. But they try to convince us once again that this is a single-player game. And then the trailer showed a load of buddying up in a group. They failed to, again, make it clear that there's no cross-progression. And speaking of cross-progression, 343 confirmed that this will be a part of the co-op campaign for Halo Infinite. So they're giving their sister studio there a bit of a nice kick in the balls with that one, saying, well, look, we can do it. We've definitely got cross-progression for multiplayer parties. That's a standard. But not before they gave themselves a kick in the balls, because they proudly announced that they want to bring microtransactions to Halo, the Master Chief Collection. If people are wondering what that is, that's the Halo game that people play, not Infinite, if you were to look at the stats there. And seemingly, some good news, we are going to get a new Skate game, because EA released some pre-alpha footage and have announced playtesting, and you can sign up for that as we record this, so head over to EA to do that if you want to get involved. And then finally, Sucker Punch has said it has, quote, no plans to revisit Sly Cooper or Infamous, and thus the hearts of 8 Sly Cooper fans shattered like the Elden Ring across the lands between. So that was the week, in my opinion.
And you're done. Anything
there you actually would talk about in real life, or is it all much of a muchness?
Gosh, cockpits.
I got so carried away, I forgot to open my cider. That's a disaster.
Oh, absolutely livid. Yeah, that's a bit of a abysmal week, really. But yeah, it's all kicking off. Yeah, so what do I think about that binary thing? Maybe so it was just equated to 30, the number.
Yeah, it just said 30. I mean,
I wonder if he's gonna do. If it's going to be a 30, then he's going to do another one, and then he'll do like September or 9. And he's slowly releasing the release date after.
Wow.
Because he don't get these things, or has he blown it?
I think he's blown
or
that one.
They have that they was going to do it. This got leaked, and they're like, say, right, cancel it.
That's the trouble. That's the trouble with this leaking culture is that eventually you're going to get it wrong because plans can and will change. They always got the coverage saying, "Well, plans, things can change." It's like, well, yeah, but I marked that down as a blotch there. That was a blower. Could have been out of their control, but unfortunately, we deal with facts and figures, and that goes down as the first blemish. But strange week. And,
very strange, yeah.
We'll see if things pick up.
Did you watch it live, the direct?
No, I didn't even watch hardly any of it. Did you watch it?
Did I?
No. Well,
I think I was out.
Here's the thing. They seem to do these directs willy-nilly. They sort of appear on my doorstep, come knocking like a day before, going, doing this tomorrow night. And I'm like, oh, what is it? Mini partner showcase. I'm like, go away, Nintendo. Like the Xenoblade one, I was up for watching just because I was interested in Xenoblade. I just didn't get round to it. So, but when they just do vague took like that, it's not up to it. And, Switch is the Switch. We're going to be talking about Nintendo. Well, I might as well move on to that now rather than reminisce over the week. But we'll do our mid-year check-in. This isn't a review, as they say at work. It's not a review. Don't worry. Don't worry. You're not getting sacked yet. But here's how we think you're doing over the course of half a year. If you don't buck your ideas up, you will get sacked just over Christmas. So make sure you up your game. That's how these sort of things work. And really, we're just going to have a real light, high-level chat about 2022. Just talk specifically about the big three platform holders, Sony, Nintendo, Xbox, these people who are providing a lot of hardware for you to play your software on. And then talk about some other third-party stuff. But let's kick things off with Nintendo since we were talking about them. So here's a rundown of the games that they've released in 2022 so far. So they kicked things off with Pokemon Legends Arceus. The technical stinker, but the idea of a childhood dream coming to fruition. With our Triangle Strategy. Sorry, that was 28th of January. So there you go. The Triangle Strategy, which is the 4th of March. That's obviously in conjunction with Square Enix, but published by Nintendo.
Is that a console exclusive?
At the moment it is.
At the moment, right.
So it seems like
they did that.
Yeah, it seems like they've done it with what's its name, didn't they?
What was that fucking called?
Project
what you mean.
Octopath
Traveler. Traveler.
They seem to they publish it on Nintendo publish it on the Switch. It stays there for a year, and then I think it went to Xbox and PC. But I don't think Octopath's on PlayStation yet.
Was it not?
No.
Those
I mean that is old school PS1 style. There, it's not appearing. It really is. But anyway, 4th of March they chucked that out. Then we got Kirby, 25th of March.
Surprised! I still want to play that.
Yeah, Nintendo Switch Sports, 29th of April. Mario Strikers Battle League, 10th of June, and then Fire Emblem Warriors: Three Hopes, which is the I can't remember what they're called, those games, Dynasty Warrior type.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
combat games.
There's a name. There is a name, but I forget.
So that's what's come and gone for Nintendo.
Yeah.
What do you make of that? Because we joke
mediocre.
About that, well, we joke about that Switch getting dust collecting, and even Salmon's got a little exposed the business beyond the peak of the. Salmon's got a little bit spiteful with the Switch since his Steam Deck has arrived. I've had quotes going out saying it's a Switch killer because I can emulate things on this that run and look better than on the Switch. This is the best piece of tech I've bought for years, and I'm going to get Salmon on after he's had a good few weeks, maybe a month, to try this beast out. But he's really enjoying that. Yeah. And a lot of people have been enjoying the Switch. There's a lot of buzz around that handheld just because of the utility of it, for one thing. People playing... Best way to play Elden Ring, because it's the only one that runs silky smooth with no stuttering.
There you go. The real master race, they're calling it.
Yeah, it's just a shame that fucking Gabe can't produce anywhere close to enough units to satisfy demand, because we ordered Salmon's one last autumn.
Dropping around.
Yeah.
Door.
I mean, if he didn't even do that to us. Didn't drop it off.
Fucking left chucked it, the lazy bastard.
Gabe did not turn up. Oh, was subscribed in the chat with Twitch Prime. Thank you. 27 months. How many beers is that? That's 5 in London. So yeah, we had the Switch come out and the Steam Deck come out, and people were loving that as a handheld device. I think it's still two different audiences, but there we go. But yeah, you said mediocre for Nintendo. Care to elaborate on that?
I mean, to be fair, compared to another company, which we'll discuss next or after that, they've done better. But when you roll out those games, I mean, slim pickings, isn't it? I mean, I was half Arceus. I've not finished it yet, but for what it is, it's good. It's all right. Obviously, we have some technical problems. Have you reviewed it yet?
Yeah, it's a fucking disgrace, technically. It really is. It really is a real disgrace.
A disgrace.
It's a disgrace, John. It's not right.
It is a disgrace. But I sort of forgot how many sort of games they have actually released. I'm sitting there thinking they've only done 2, but yeah, you're right. We had the Wii, the sports.
Yep.
And it's just because I've not really got involved with it, the thing. But yeah, when you're wheeling out, what was it you said?
I'm not going to help you out.
I was just trying to get it there. I've got it in front of me.
I've got a evening, and so has the audience.
Here we go. Fire Emblems, that was it.
Yeah.
You got wheeling out Fire Emblems. Strikers again. Like, these aren't upper echelon games, are they?
They're not the gems, are they, of what Nintendo have?
Kirby and Pokemon.
They're like, I think Pokemon should be a gem,
Yeah.
but often misses, and Arceus was this, really good in some aspects, but really poor in other aspects. And Kirby, he's always going to be just the tier beyond. But I think this is one of the best outings for Kirby for a long time. Star Allies crapped on compared to this.
Yeah. There's been a few people been raving about this. I was quite interested to give it a little bash. But yeah, when you so we've had a sort of 5 or 6 games then that they've actually released. But yeah, I do just get that sort of meh. Yeah. And that's why that fucking console, because it ain't getting used for third parties.
Nope.
I don't care. Well, I just don't use it handheld. I don't commute. I don't go anywhere with it. I do sometimes play it portably, but that's in my house. So not enough to warrant buying a game for the purpose of portability.
No.
So that is a real dust collector. I think I played a bit of Metro, and a bit of Pokemon. That is Metroid. Well done.
Cool. Him. I think one of them. I think Metro 2033 might be on there.
It might be.
It might be on there, but that would
get that gyros controls on that.
Dirty bastards.
So it's been a real meh year for them. I mean, it's been a meh year all year, to be honest. But we've still got, what have we got? We've got Pokemon coming, Xenoblade 3, and Splatoon 3 is still due out. When you look at that as a whole, including the others, it's a gap filler year, isn't it?
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's
but then you'll have people going, "Come on, Mario Strikers, though, it's the greatest sports game ever."
I mean, you can't help those people. You should just sort of just nod and go, "Yeah, all right, mate," and then jog on. But yeah, not a stellar year, not a disgrace though. Like, I think
they're getting games out.
If you're Nintendo, because this is the thing I've realised over getting this Switch since having it from launch until now, is that in the first few years I was sort of buying things like Splatoon 2. So in this case, I might have got Mario Strikers or something, like a lower tier sort of Nintendo game. Switch Sports I was never going to get, I don't think. But Kirby I would have got in the first 2 years. Fire Emblem Warriors I probably would have got, because I would have played Three Houses before that if I was like engaged with the platform. But I just not interested in these sort of B, C tier games that come to Switch. It has to be Zelda or Mario, or in this case I did get Pokemon Arceus, and that was that. We know what happened with that. It was up and then it was down. So if you're into those games though, if you're into Kirby, Switch Sports, Mario Strikers Battle League and Fire Emblem, then you're obviously a child. I mean, I don't think children listen to this show, so I doubt there's anyone listening that's into that. But that's not terrible at all. That's still solid, and that's what I said almost last year. Is that we had Metroid Dread, which I loved and thought was a great game, But a lot of the games that Nintendo released were sort of this lower tier, which is kind of where their fan base is. So what can you do about that? But they definitely had better years. And
Yeah, certainly.
where the fuck is the next Mario game?
Yeah,
Seriously, that'll be 6. That'll be 5 years. This fall, as they call it.
Yeah.
This holiday season, and then next year will be the 6th
churning
year.
out these remakes, remasters. We had the 3D All Stars, the 3D World plus Bowser.
Yeah,
Anything else? Churning out fucking Mario packs now.
I know.
While we wait. But yeah, we should. I feel like there's got to be a big first party direct that gets balls tickling, because I think it's not just us. I think there's a lot of fans like us that did jump on this hype of the thing, loved it, and to be honest, the last couple of years it has been we get 1-2 big games that does, but it's not enough. It's not enough.
No.
I remember you saying last year you want something to grab you by the bollards and bring you back to that Switch. Metroid tickled that, but fucking me, it's about 10 hours long. That was it. It was done and dusted.
True. Yeah, definitely was not a big meaty game to lose time in, but that's Nintendo. Well, we mentioned another company that they've done more than, and that is Big Phil Spencer, friend of the show.
Phil.
And
What
Xbox.
has he released this year?
Well, I wrote nothing here.
Well, I was going to say, I'm looking through the list now. Obviously, they get exclusives. They're very hard working on their games.
Adkins, I
Game
don't care
Pass.
about that.
No.
I do care about that. Sorry, I'll reword that. I do care about that. But for this scenario, what we're looking at, it's nothing!
Absolute zilch.
It is 0. I'm certain it's 0. Nothing.
Xbox games 2022.
Not even a little fucking remaster.
Nothing.
Not even a little ticker to chuck some fucking bones to us.
Nah.
And then what do you get when you say that to the fucking zealots? Oh, the Game Pass! Fine. But I want to make games as well. I don't want to keep just playing other stuff.
But we've had Tunic. Tunic was an exclusive. No, it weren't, mate. Shut up.
Got fucking 30 studios there almost now.
Yeah,
Get them to bloody work.
Exactly. They can't even churn out.
What a disaster year on this front this has been, and it's going to be.
Get Halo Strikers. Fuck me, get it.
Well, it's the other thing. Like, Halo released last year. Okay, 20th anniversary. They put the beta out. They went, yeah, a couple of weeks later it's releasing. Everyone went, yeah, great. Xbox on top. What a game. What's the news story this week? 343 can't fix Melee disconnect. Because they got people working on other things. It's like, what are we doing 7 months later and they can't even hit someone around the head with your elbow? Or gun. I think it's the butt of the gun, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
So that's been a stinker. That could have been delayed to this year.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. We've had nothing from them. No. That is poor. Poor, that is. Even Bowser's shat on him there. Feels had a nightmare.
It is a nightmare year, isn't it, from that front?
Yeah.
And they're very fortunate and clever to have Game Pass there because it absolutely just covers their arse.
No, yeah, you
consistently.
don't think. You don't sit there and go, fucking hell, they haven't released a game yet.
No. Yeah.
What's happening?
But
do you think they will? Have they got anything planned?
They've got Pentiment, that little...
Oh, yes, yeah.
I looked at that game, I thought, Adkins is not going to play that.
No.
I mean, again, that's not... When Phil come along, when it is Game Pass, you're going to get day one, first party stuff. No one was thinking, oh, Pentiment, I can't wait to play that. They wanted Gears, they wanted fucking Starfield, they wanted...
So have they not wrapped up like a fucking... Even just like a year... What's it called?
Dirty old exclusive.
30 old exclusive. What's this? Turbo Overkill. Next. Even this fucking Marvel. What's this? Marvel Midnight Suns. Get that for a year, just so you can pretend that you've released something. Saints Row. You could have claimed that for a year.
Yeah.
But no, you sucked it. You fucking blown it.
Now
you're releasing fucking... Making a big hoo-ha about getting Far Cry 5. I was like, cool, Far Cry's out. And I realised, I was like... Oh, it's not the fucking latest.
It's 2 games old. It's not even the latest Far Cry. I mean, I don't mind those games going on. That's fine, but don't fucking pat yourselves on the back and make a big hoo-ha about it. It's like, shut up. Yeah. I mean, Game Pass has absolutely bailed them out because it is, you know, a great service in many aspects, but they've kind of tricked people now into... The value of Game Pass for me is the main draw of it was first parties stuff that they're making because some of the stuff on Game Pass, I don't know if I even wanted to play that. I don't know a lot of it, but I know I wanted to play Gears of War. I know I wanted to play Halo. I know I wanted to play most of Bethesda's stuff. Yeah. So for them to say that's all included, I was like, oh, rubbing my hands. And then we're going to get a year of what? I mean, I will probably end up loving Pentiment, but that's still not the value proposition that I was kind of sold on.
Fucking State of Decay 3. You ain't seen a dog.
Well, that ain't...
Get Crackdown 4 out this week. They can make
probably be better than Crackdown 3 was.
Logan went through it. We're getting playing it.
Poor bastard.
Stuck with it right to the end, bless his soul.
Yeah. So look, it's been an absolute disaster for Xbox this year in terms of first party output, which is not the ultimate.
Which is mental.
It is mad.
Because if they would have released Starfield and it would have been one game and come out as the belter we're expecting it to be, we'd have been going, feels biggish here.
You only need to get one game that's in the top sort of 5 for the year. I think that's really all you need, and then you get a pat on the back from the hardcore to go, all right, we'll let you off this year. But they're not even going to have that, and it's a shame. It's not ideal, but it is where we are at. And if I was Phil, I would not even release Pentiment this year. I'll just say chuck it all 2023. This really fucking blow everyone away. We'll put that out in January just to get that year kicking off. Yeah, but I would laugh if they did, and then we can say right, 2023 is our year. And it probably will be, but that'll be the third calendar year of the consoles lurking. I mean, it's been pretty poor. I've said last year it's been pretty poor, and people fucking shouted at me saying they won 2021. I was like, yeah, they didn't release anything in 2020 when they launched the thing. They're already 5 games behind. Jesus. And yeah, look, these aren't the be all or end all because they've got Game Pass and other things and whatnot. But I think it's a big thing that makes Xbox... Well, maybe the identity is Game Pass, and over time we've just got to deal with that. But I feel like we can have our cake and eat it, because they've promised it. Yeah. We can get all these games. We can get 2, 3, 4 good, some great games a year, and they all go in Game Pass, because they've teased the fuckers. So we're close to getting it. It's just getting this first big year in the bank. Anyway, what's Jim got to say? Here we go. I mean, this ain't thrilling from Jim. So we've got the PC release of God of War, 14th of January 2022. So PC crowd getting involved with some Sony first-party games, so they're absolutely loving that. That now only leaves Nintendo, who don't put their games on PC. And just imagine how many potential issues and how much better... objectively those games could be, because they will look and run better. Just imagine that for a second. Anyway, remaster of Uncharted. Well, it's Uncharted 4 and Legacy, Lost Legacy. 28th of the 1st, 2022. Horizon Forbidden West, 18th of February 2022. Gran Turismo 7, the 4th of March 2022. MLB The Show, the 5th of April 2022. And then that's the games, and they did revamp PlayStation Plus with their PlayStation Plus Now combination. 3 different membership tiers for people, but let's focus on the games. I mean, that's not fantastic, but it's a half decent bit of coverage, in my opinion. You've got one sequel that, regardless of how people feel about it now, people seem to have soured on it. We're looking forward to. I thought it was great in Forbidden West. Gran Turismo 7 finally comes out. That's been waiting for years for that. And then MLB The Show, not a game that we're ever going to sit down and play. But they've still cranked their studio. The point is their studio still cranked out another game. That's what we're focusing on here. What do you make of that, though? I mean, there's a lot of ports going on. There's resources being used there.
Did you say Ghostwire as well? Was that this year?
That was, but I've left that out because they didn't make it. or publish it.
Of course not. Right.
I checked, and I wondered whether they published it on behalf of Bethesda, but they didn't. It's just one of those. So, as an exclusive, it's there, but the output of their publishing arm...
It's done nothing.
I cut it.
No. But it's a damn sight more than Phil. I'm trying to compare it to Nintendo's, really. It's much for much. Again, there's a lot to there that isn't getting played, but Horizon, we'll discuss that briefly. But yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one. Good game. That's it. MLB. Turismo as well. Turismo, that seemed to be received very well. Again,
well, they put those microtransactions in and then seemingly fixed it within a few weeks, but there was definitely a few weeks where people were like, what are they doing? And I was like, get used to this, because they're planning to do bloody microtransactions and everything at some point going forward, with 10 live service games launching up your arse to a console near you.
MLB that's just been... Didn't Xbox get it or something?
Yeah, so MLB's... that goes on Xbox and Switch for the first time. So everyone gets that one. Yeah. But I always consider it as it was output. Get there. We're trying to look at their studios and what's going on with their... Yeah, I mean that's fine. That's not going to win a console war because it's on everything. No, but it's still.
So no, that's all you got. And then looking forward, you've got potentially God of War, seemingly best. Sounds like it's going to happen. Stray's a exclusive, isn't it?
Yeah, he's on PC as well, but
on PC.
It'll be on the PlayStation Plus Extra as well. So that's like another.
Oh, that's right.
Sort of the first one they're putting day and date. So interesting to see if that picks up any pace or whether that's a one-off.
That's it. And then Forspoken, which...
Oh, yeah, I forgot that. So
Forspoken...
Timed.
Timed, yeah, that's timed. And is that Square Enix? It is, isn't it? Yeah, Square. Yes, that's PC as well. But yeah, that's a year window. That's set for October. So, yeah, that's not really there. No. So again, it's just such a empty year, isn't it? I mean, it's been great for backlogs.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not great from Jim, but it's borderline. It's okay.
It's okay. Yeah, I think game.
Yeah, exactly. Best of the rest. I mean, obviously, Elden Ring's the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
But other than that, what else? Yeah. What else? Anything that has popped your bollocks?
He's reminding this brain. No, the Lego Star Wars ain't played that yet. Biff said it's terrible, but I'd never take his reviews. Yeah, that's been released. Dying Light 2.
Dying Light is one we missed. Now,
yes,
everyone blew it in January, February, March because everyone decided to release all their games for the year in that 3-month window. We suspect why, because that's when the financial year ends for a lot of the companies. So get it out before April and it goes into the profits. But what that meant was that games like Dying Light, that had it come out even a month ago, 2 months ago, would have been in better condition because that had some game-breaking bugs where people's saves are being deleted and all sorts of mad shit. So that would have probably been fixed, and I would have probably bought that.
Yeah.
But no, it decided to release 2 weeks before Horizon and 3 weeks before Elden Ring and 1 week after Pokemon. I'm like, what are you fucks doing?
Oh, exactly that. There's 2 other games that I've definitely got my eye on, but trouble is now that these lower tier games that you have your eye on, I just sort of get into that mindset where I think, if I longer hold it out, there's potential they're going to come onto one of these subscription services.
Of course they will. They will as well.
Yeah, and the 2 that have got me eye is Sifu.
Yep.
And The Quarry.
Yes. Yeah. Supermassive.
Supermassive.
Love me some Supermassive, even though I've not been supporting them that well. Although, talking about PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium, Man of Medan's on there, and so's Little Hope. So I've played through both of those. I've already played through Man of Medan, but I've already played it.
Trilogy, aren't they?
So they're like an anthology, they call them. So they're separate entries, slightly shorter. I thought they were about 2 hours, but they're closer to 4. So still a bit of bollocks there to be had, and they're priced accordingly. So I think they release at like 30 or maybe 40 quid. But they're both on there, and I think is it House of Ashes?
House of Ash, that's the one.
So I might buy that one because I have enjoyed going back to those games these past few weeks and getting back involved. But they, Supermassive got the Quarry out. Adcock's been sniffing around that, and I think he may well have purchased it. So
Jordan bought it as well.
I saw Peli playing it. I was like, cool.
Peli giving me the review. He said, "Yeah, good." Wouldn't pay full price for it though.
That was exactly my thinking.
He paid £50, I think. I was like,
that
is a bit of a belter.
Well, there was a version going for 70 on the store, like a deluxe version, and on the PlayStation store at least, it was 60 quid.
Blimey, that's Supermassive. That's Until Dawn, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And then Quantum Dreams is Detroit and
correct.
Heavy Rain and all that jazz.
At last,
I always get them two mixed up.
Yeah.
So there's been a few games, but I mean, if you're thinking that Rainbow Six Extraction is ticking in
yeah, it's on Game Pass though, so it must.
It's on Game Pass. You've got Destiny 2, The Witch Queen, the resurgence of Destiny. You know,
there's a game called Norca I've had my eye on. That's on that is on PC Game Pass, so I'm playing that. We had Shredder's Revenge, which was.
Yeah, Shredder's Revenge was a nice little. It was a nice little palate cleanser.
All right.
It was a meh. Do you start including things like Stanley Parable Deluxe?
Well, again, it's one of them. That's the sort of slim picking. I mean, overall, it's been a year of great promise before we come into it, and it's not delivered on that front, has it? It's been very stop-start, very sporadic, and not been the killer year. And losing Starfield has dampened the second part of the year, absolutely.
Yeah.
And if we lose God of War as well, then we might as well pack up for the year and come back in 2023. But
early.
I'd say that there's actually been some good games for people to play. It's the timing of them has not been good for the first half of the year. They're all squashed together in that first quarter. So there's stuff to go back to. But now it's always like, well, it's got to be on a good discount because it's not day one anymore. It's like a few months old. Or on one of these subs and these subscriptions otherwise I'm not going to partake this year. No. So yeah, I've gone back to Zelda recently. I've gone Breath of the Wild.
Oh, yeah, nice.
The last unfinished business project that I had to replay it with a decent... Well, I just don't want to breakneck the last part of it.
Yeah.
It's probably about 50%, so that's the sort of year it's been.
I'll tell you what we haven't mentioned, going back to Nintendo, is they have just released now. It's not really there. It was their game for a little while. But Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak.
Yep.
Which is seemingly getting decent reviews. And again, if you ain't got much to carry, then you have to start including these DLCs.
No, well, yeah, I mean, look, had Capcom not just shit the bed and decided it's going to be a Switch game first and not come to traditional consoles, then bring it to PC and then say, well, there's no cross-play, that I'd have been all over this. This would have absolutely filled a gap, but...
It's fucking cross-save, for goodness sake.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Imagine that. That
is a stinker.
That bloody Switch!
Yeah.
It's probably that's Capcom, because they didn't do that for...
No.
Monster Hunter World either. But the point is, that was out for a year before, so it just snagged people like you in, and then you're stuck sort of on the 30 FPS slop train.
On my pass.
Yeah. But yeah,
Salmon's playing golden 60 FPS liquor.
Yeah, well, at least you've got to see him play with him. Had Cuphead, the Delicious Last Course, come out. Yeah. I'll do a little FGO update whilst I'm here. Hall and Parky have got that, sitting on an 87, so that's lovely jubbly. And then F1 2022 actually came out today, which for full May.
Oh, baby, Atkins straight on the
He was straight on it. He obviously didn't get the early access of it because it's been out for 3 days in early access.
Was it really? Oh, they do that today still.
This was your team's pick, or transfer, Papers team. Cool. You sub Tunic out for this, which scored an 85. This is sitting on an 82 F1 2022.
Oh, my pass. I mean, that's Ralph to a T.
That is, isn't it? It was just... awful.
Rudderless.
That was rudderless. But no, 2022, I think has had glimpses of greatness. Certainly has at least there's at least 2 games I can think of that have been great. Like, you can't deny Elden Ring just dominating lives for months on end. But if you didn't like Elden Ring, if you know, which is a lot of people because their games aren't made to cater to everyone.
No.
You must have been sitting there fuming Everyone going, it's the best year of gaming ever. We had Elden Ring, and you're sitting there, I don't even like it. God's
I ain't even got a
sake.
story, mate.
No, I've got
Rainbow ain't even here.
Rainbow Six Extraction. God's sake, and I haven't even got Game Pass. I've had to pay it. Oh, it's certainly not one of the all timers. And the back end of the year is filling up with what I would say is intriguing titles, but not.
Yeah, it's intriguing. Yeah, the thing is, if we do get treated to some absolute gold, we get God of War, and it's obviously 90 plus.
Yeah.
Then we get Callisto Protocol, and that's the second
72
coming.
Technical bugs and issues squander an opportunity. I'm like,
well, this is the
Schofield,
potential,
that ain't coming 2022.
No, exactly. Bayonetta 3 still apparently, those games never seem to go lower than 80s.
No.
They're normally in the 90s. Yeah, that's it pretty much.
Yeah.
But I mean, even if we do get 2 or 3, say Xenoblade, Splatoon 3, if we get a couple of good scores out of them,
Salvage
90s,
something.
Gotham Knights, God, it's the second coming, the best Arkham game there ever was. I don't think that's going to be true. Saints Row blows GTA 5 out the window. Then people will start saying about, well, we got these big heavy hitters, but I just don't. No, I don't think. But there's potential. There's potential if what's left. We got the Saints Row, the next one, the next big one to come out.
Probably, yeah.
But again, that's not huge, is it? Then we got Forspoken, Gotham Knights, Callisto, Pokemon, get like that after being told it's not open world.
I don't know if it is or not now. I can't work it out.
Half and half. Monster Hunter, isn't it?
Well, we'll see.
Don't know, we'll see. But yeah, there's potential for the rest of the year. There's games to be played, but I want another. This makes me think of like how good 2017 was.
Yeah,
Thinking,
silly.
God, that was an absolute stellar year, and we didn't know it at the time. But
2018. Well, the thing is, I say 2018, we had God of War and Red Dead Redemption 2, and
best we get.
Like, I'm trying to think, but that feels like all there was.
Monster Hunter World.
Monster Hunter World. Okay. Oh, right.
Smash Bros.
Right. Yeah. Not even. You see what I mean? It's not even close, is it? Now.
Nah.
Granted, that's midway through the console generation. That's towards the back end of it. We're still in like phase 1, and phase 2 will probably be 2020, late 2023 onwards, I'd say. Yeah. So maybe that's unfair, but
yeah, well, I suppose there'd be a difficult. I wonder if this will be a more drawn out generation because of fucking this pandemic and that, and everything's been delayed. So typically we get 6-7 years. I wonder if we may even go up to 10 with this fucker.
Get me a PS5 Pro. Get me a Super Switch.
Yeah.
Get me an Xbox Series XX.
Could get 2 iterations by the end of it.
Salmon will be saying, "You get a fucking PC, you mugs." I'm like, well, probably could have done with that sort of money. No. Well, look, we'll see how things pan out. The mid-year check-in is complete. It's been there's glimpses of hope, but it's not going to. I don't think it's going to go down as one of the all-time greats, even though many people say there is an all-time great that has been released. In the elk
Diablo Immortal.
That's Diablo Immortal on mobile that you can play on PC.
Don't you have phones?
Anyway, we're going to transition to some game impressions for you guys to see out the episode. So nothing more for us to say at this part other than we're going to see you on the other side. Here we are then, back with some more gaming impressions. This time, Mr. Resident Referee Logan's going to be asking me the questions. And it's on God of War 2018. I revisited this game, went back to it after almost... Well, it's over 4 years to the day, almost. It was like, what was it, 20-something of April. By the time I'd started it, it was just over that. So over 4 years, I went back. And this goes under the category of, my unfinished business sort of crusade that I'm going on. Games that I felt like I either rushed through or just moved on to the next thing too quickly. I'm making time to go back. And given that 2022 is sort of peaked in many ways for new game release. I've got time to do that. But I'll you'll be asking me the questions, so I'll hand over to you. But I've played through the game and got the platinum trophy to boot as well. So that two birds with one stone being knocked off there.
Yeah, I mean, funnily enough, I'd started to play it myself as well, although it's been put on the back burner of late. I think mainly partly because it's the PlayStation's downstairs as opposed to the Xbox being upstairs where I am most of the time. But I think you and Biff had been on at me for, well, literally for years, saying you're missing out on a trick here. Obviously, I know that you mentioned that you've been on your replay crusade, the old RC, going back and playing games like this. But I'm quite eager to hear your thoughts on whether it still pretty much stacks up.
Yeah.
4 years later. So I guess you've talked to us about what brought you here. I guess one thing I don't know and that I wanted to check, is there, as part of this, an upgrade that's been given as part of that PS5 upgrade?
That's a very good point that I would have absolutely skipped over. Yes, so what they essentially did, they didn't go in there and start pulling it apart. It's not a PS5 version, it's still the PS4 version. Essentially what they've done is they've gone in and offered 2 modes. So you've got a fidelity mode, which is 4K-ish, 30 frames per second, but they've also added a performance mode which offers 60 FPS, which is the big change for me. So I went in and played on that. So that is that is an upgrade on what I'd played back in 2018, because it was running at 30 FPS slop back then. Kind of say we didn't know any better, we did, but we didn't have a choice, so it weren't worth complaining about. And I've previously expressed my love for God of War. It sits in the platinum wing of my gaming gallery back when I played it in 2018, and returned for this particular one. Sequel upcoming, and the upgrades definitely, I think, just gave it a... I don't know if I'd actually have done it if there wasn't a 60 FPS mode now. I'm starting to wonder whether I would have. I might have just left it and been like, yeah. And that's only because everything I've played, pretty much, barring maybe 1 or 2 games, has been 60 FPS this generation. So we're coming on to over 18 months in. That now is jarring to me. And, PS4, Xbox One, PS4 Pro, Xbox One X generation, 60 FPS just wasn't that regular. It was like rocking all shit. You barely got it. Now everything's pretty much got a mode where you can choose to have the frame rate. So that's actually an important thing to note, because I don't think I would have gone back just in fear that it would have felt so sluggish in comparison to what I'm playing these days. And there's a PC version out now anyway, so God tier has been unlocked for this game for those that want it. So I guess I could have done that, but I doubt I would have.
Yeah, I think it's it's probably pretty quick thinking. I say quick thinking, but at least good thinking from Sony's perspective, that these games, if they're going to offer them, and they've obviously chucked them out there for free now pretty much to get people to play them. But without those, they'd be pretty much... It goes to show you how much I'd say we're gaming snobs now. That things like 30 FPS seem like unplayable, and pretty much are. But your brain adjusts very quickly. I went from having an Xbox One on a TV that was 5 years old, 6 years old, might even been older than that, that only had HD, to now I've got a monitor that unlocks up to like silly frames per second with an Series X. Like, the change overnight for me is marked. And now if I went back to play on an Xbox One on an old HD TV, I'd probably be like, how did I ever play this? Because your brain just adjusts to whatever it's been playing. It just accepts it as the norm. I think that's a great point, which I wonder how long you would have lasted had they not had that frame upgrade.
I think I would have finished. I would have gone through it absolutely and done it. I think just making the commitment was far easier knowing that mode was there. So I may not have even bothered. I would have, I'll start it and I'll finish it, but I may would have just never started it, or at least kicked the can further down the road. to do it then, but it definitely just kind of removed any excuses or any preconceived ideas where I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this. I was like, no, I actually want to go back and see what this is like. Like you said, 4 plus years on, just as an interesting case study, but also I know the game's going to play and feel better. So that's, as a game that I've put in my platinum wing, that's really appealing.
Yeah, so I know that you obviously went back to Horizon Zero Dawn recently and did a big old playthrough on that.
Did.
And loved doing that. You were really positive about it. So I guess the first question, as you've already played this, is, broadly, was the game as you remembered it? Did you enjoy it just as much? Did you enjoy it even more now that you had that 60 FPS and also weren't breaknecking, or whatever the reason that you didn't feel like you did it before properly? Did you feel like you exercised those demons that you had from 4 years ago?
Yeah, touched on that last point. All demons have been murdered, slaughtered. They've been chucked into one of the other realms that I don't partake in for these Norse games. They're gone. Getting the platinum, because it's not an easy platinum for difficulty reasons, not for time. There's some very difficult bosses that you have to defeat, kind of like in the post game, to get the platinum, and there ain't really enough quick fix at that. You've got to kind of get through it. So any notion I had or disappointment from my last playthrough at leaving unfinished business, I cleared up. And yeah, I mean, look, the cliff notes are that it's still, for me, this is the description I continue to use for God of War until something else comes along that can fit this. But for me, it's like the best pound for pound, well-rounded game that I have played. It's not perfect, obviously. Shouldn't have to say that, but people will get on your back if you don't just slip that in there. But what I will say is it's very, very strong in the areas that I personally lean towards, and I feel like gives a really good representation of a modern single-player video game. Like, I think that still stands up today as well, and with the 60 FPS cap, that makes it more approachable to people who are interested in that. It's on PC with all from what I've seen, it's a good port, has all the support that the PC gamers want. So really, this still 4 years on sits there for my little galleries. It's sort of pound for pound best, and there's nothing really in here that would have even threatened that status. In fact, a lot of the stuff, when I was replaying it, I was like, that opinion is sort of emboldened by going through it a second time. It's just epic. It really is. Speak of the word epic, I have to say this before I forget. If I said to you, I've got 2 bits of gear here, like game gear or like armor, weapons, and I said, right, I've got a legendary weapon or this legendary weapon or this epic weapon here, which one of those would you say would be the higher ranking gear item? Because this particular game stirred up something that I disagree with, but I'm interested to get your perspective, because maybe it was just me. Detour, inbound listeners and viewers.
So for some reason, I associate the word epic with it being purple, and the word legendary with it being gold.
Yep.
So I would put legendary over epic.
Agreed. That's my perspective, and that always has been. Like, for me, something legendary, that means more than that's something that was built years ago. It's special. Like, I 100% am in that boat as well. So I'm interested if anyone else feels like epic's above that. But in this game, and this is probably the biggest fault of the game, I'm joking, but they have the ranking, epic is above legendary.
No, I don't know whether, for some reason I feel like it's Fortnite that has come to the fore in my brain here, because that's how I'm pretty sure Fortnite weapons are rare, uncommon, common, rare, epic, legendary.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's it, and I'm pretty sure the legendary ones are like gold, and the epic ones are like a pinky colour, pinky purple.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know that WoW, I think, has it in that order as well. Like legendaries, or at least was at one point the top sort of big shot. But, in God of War, and I would assume in the sequel, they've got epic as the top one. And I was a bit like, annoying.
Yeah, that doesn't feel... For some reason, it doesn't feel right. Legendary has got to be... I mean, if you're legendary... If you had an epic football player and a legendary football player, like... Cristiano Ronaldo would be a legendary footballer. Like, I don't know. I just feel like that is something that's
on a higher plane.
Yeah,
anyway,
than Epic. But anyway, yeah, there we go. Mid review or revisit review. Detour.
Just put a poll up and see what people think.
Yeah, can we do that?
If I remember, we can.
Maybe we'll just do it on Twitter later.
Yeah, that's it.
No, so I guess one of the things that I'd be interested in, is there anything that you either forgot about that you then noticed and went, that's really good, or is there anything that surprised you that perhaps you didn't notice on your first game playthrough of the game? Like, is there anything there that you didn't feel like you picked up on the first time, or were there certain things that you were still surprised to see on a game, I guess, that was 4 years old now, that you went, that's pretty good considering it's 4 years old? I don't know, I'm just trying to...
Yeah, I get. So one of the things that stands out, and this is because it's rare, like the way the game's directed. Again, people say, "Oh, you pretentious fuck, it's a game." The way the game's structured is that there actually are... It cheats, there are, but there's almost no camera cuts. You play through the game, the camera swings for every narrative piece. It never just black screens and comes back. There's a few bits where you go through doorways where you're like fast traveling and the screen goes white, and clearly at that point they've messed around the camera to move Kratos and Atreus around. But having that kind of that thread that's constantly throughout the game, like there's no breakage in your immersion, just is really awesome. And I was thinking, you've spoken about Assassin's Creed a lot on this podcast because we've played a lot of it. Like, there's just a complete difference of when you go and interact with a character in that one, they'll just stand there and you'll just be able to move your character around. It just won't feel like there's any sort of cinematic thread to it. Or when it goes into a cutscene, it'll fade to black, it'll come back in, and then everyone will be in the right positions. Then the scene will start, then the scene will end. And it's just this... It's not... I'm not going to...
Organic.
It's not organic, no. So when games make the effort, and Red Dead Redemption 2 does this really well. I think Grand Theft Auto 5 did it really well. And I think even Red Dead Redemption, the original, did it really well. When you have these free-flowing from gameplay into cutscene, into narrative moment, and this back and forth swing, it really does just round off an already great experience. And because it's so rare, this again stood out for me. I was just playing it. I was like, yeah, this is great when games make the effort to do this. And that was a little bit of a highlight there. It's more expansive than I ever remembered in terms of places to go, side quests, optional bits and pieces. I just, in my head, and this might be because I mainlined it for probably about 40% of the game, my original playthrough, but I decided that it was just a quite linear game. Now, you can play it that way. You can cut all the fat if you want and play it that way. But there is actually quite a lot of stuff to be getting on with. Other little story elements, little quests and things and treasure maps. And there's a lot of different places you can go to as well. And that had kind of dropped off and I hadn't remembered that. And then, yeah, the story and characters are just still brilliant. Like the writing and the performances in particular of the actors and the actresses is just superb. So those are kind of the things that stood out in a positive light. If I was looking on the more negative side of things, like there's no getting around the fact that the map is poor. The map, it's like an artistic map, not a functional map. So you kind of go on it and you look at it. I mean, you've seen it, but you kind of look at it and it's like, oh, that looks pretty. But actually, if I want to find a pathway through this game, it's fucking hard to work out exactly where to go because the pathway is not there on the map. So you kind of have to just... I suppose you're encouraged to check the environment and explore that way. But when you're trying to go for a platinum, i.e. you're getting all the collectibles, at some point you want to be moving around the environment quicker and efficiently because you might want to get 3 collectibles over here, 2 over there. You don't want to be faffing, trying to work out where to go in order to get to, X, Y, or Z in the in the game. So the map definitely is, they've said, oh, it looks pretty, but functionally it's not really much use. And the game does have areas that are blocked off to you earlier on in the game. Like you need You might need an upgrade, you might need a specific tool. And I feel like when you have those parts or those scenarios crop up in a game, just mark those little blockages on the map somewhere. I can't remember all of them. Ronnie can't remember every last fucking blockade that he runs into throughout, So if I'm coming back to clean up later on, I can look on the map and say, oh, I haven't been there. That's a new place to explore. I'm more encouraged to go there. There's still pathways I didn't go down because I forgot or didn't go down there. Unfortunately, there wasn't any collectibles I needed. So things like that, even if you're going to go for the artistic map, put some functional use in there like that. And then another thing that I feel like wasn't a problem when I first played it, because I was playing it as a linear... Well, it's not... I wasn't doing the platinum run. I wasn't hunting around, rushing around everywhere. So let's leave it at that. I was playing it quite thoroughly, just that when I got towards the back end, I perhaps didn't do the end game stuff. But when you're getting to that stage where you want to hunt for the ravens that are lurking, do your collectibles, the fast travel is not something that is going to help people that want to get around quickly. And the reason why I guess it's a negative, but I kind of actually, balance it out as an okay, is because everything's contextualized. So to fast travel in God of War, you have these little like mystic doorways that pop up, and you got a rune stone or some sort of fucking object that opens it up. So you walk into that, and it goes to the map, and it's like, where do you want to go? And you're like, oh, I'll go to, I don't know, the hub sort of base. I'll go to that area, the center of the lake, whatever. You click that. Kratos walks through with his son, and then you're in the world between worlds, and you have to walk around this path, and then another doorway opens up. You walk through that, and then you're at your new location. So for me, I love that, because it's like, I can use the fast travel, and this is all contextualizing the world. There's no immersion being broken here. But if you're trying to get from one side of the map to the other, to the other, to the other, to again, not only are you fighting with this map to work out where to go, you're then having to go through this maddening process where you have to walk through a door, wait, walk around this fucking life tree or whatever it is in the world between worlds, walk through another door, wait for that to sort of load through, and then you're at your location. So for people that are used to quick, sharp navigation and fast travel, it's not really fast travel. It's functional travel that uses the context well. I wouldn't want them to get rid of it. Is what I will say, because I would absolutely use them if they're there and just go through the process. But I feel like you need to kind of go, right, let's just let people select it from an icon in the map and bang. Don't worry about the camera break. If people want to play it and skip around, let's let them do that. Then everyone's happy, aren't they? You've got the nutcases like me that want everything to be, mechanically sound and functional and logical. And then those that just want to play the game as a game can just buzz around the map and get where they need to go. They're kind of like the things I picked up on, I guess.
I did. So some of those things, from my perspective, I noticed as well. So definitely, I'm definitely not as narrative driven as you are with these games. I don't put. I'm more just interested in slaying shit and the actual functional gameplay. But I know the narrative element and keeping the immersion is super important for you. And it's one of the things that I did pick up on actually when I played it, because it feels odd in a good way. But you sort of feel like it's strange because you say it doesn't black out. And I was really confused by the fast travel at first, because I was like, what are we doing? It's just not what I'm used to. I'm used to just selecting something, and then it sort of just flashes me up to the other side or whatever. I'm not used to being in control. But I kind of think that, you said about give two options, so just go on the map and select it for one, and for the other nutcases, they could go through this maddening process of finding portals.
Because when you walk through the portals, Logan, you'll have a little chat with the son or with Mimir, who's along with you. It will give you little stories. That's why, they run dry, towards the back end. So he was just walking in silence. I was a bit like, But, for the time that there's a conversation there, I'm like, of course I'm going to go through this process. I
know what you mean. I kind of think, fair play to them for going, this is how we want our game to be. And if you don't like it, suck a dick.
Well, it makes me wonder whether there's a technology issue in that they just couldn't get the game to load or transfer you fast enough for it to, without it just going to a menu and sitting there watching a menu. Because
Possibly.
we've spoken about
Yeah.
this no camera cuts, and that's a big thing that was not necessarily marketed, but you definitely heard in the build up to this that the people were mentioning this as like a boon to the game. So I can understand why you don't want to break that. Now, I think I stand by that. Just give people the option, and then you stop any noise, don't you? Like you kind of with these blazing fast SSDs now, games doing that in the future. The people are like, "What are you doing?" And they'll go, well, we've got a PS4 and Xbox One version coming out. And it's like, well, that's the reason to stop doing it then, you cunts, isn't it?
One of the first things
Get 'em
I
on
noticed,
that.
I think we did this test when I moved over to the Series X, was the difference in load times between, especially like Outriders, when I sit there for bloody ages versus when I got the X. And it was the same for Assassin's Creed. Like, it's almost like click of the fingers instant.
Yeah.
So it is a good point. Do they need to keep doing this sort of thing now? But you have to say, for the time when it was, coming out at a similar time when PS Pro, I think, was coming out, that they had a little bit of extra oomph, but perhaps this was the best way, A, from an immersion perspective for them, and B, navigating this loading screen way of doing it. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's a negative that's been transferred into a positive. But again, I think that's clever game design, arguably. So all around then, it sounds like it was a good experience. Is there anything else, I guess, from your playthrough that you want to mention?
Yeah, I think I will just talk about the combat, because the Leviathan axe is perhaps the greatest weapon in gaming as we record this today.
I've really enjoyed it.
It's so much fun. Like, it's not just you can hack people around, and you can unlock all the abilities and the runes and all this cool shit. But let's just not lie and pretend that we didn't just throw that axe like into the lake or just off a cliff, only just to press triangle and have it come back in Kratos. Like, it's so well done. Like, it really is. I initially, when I was playing the game, like throughout the game early on, I was, the combat felt great because I was destroying things. I wasn't, I just felt like a God of War. Let's be honest. When the going started to get tough, which happened sort of mid game, I was like, I don't know if I feel as though this is holding up as well. Like, under true pressure and scrutiny, is it a bit sluggish? Is it a bit too frantic? And I had this sort of period during the middle part of the game, maybe from the second third into a little bit of the final third. But then I kind of got a second wing towards the back end of the game, and I felt by the end of the game I was so on point and sharp with the combat systems that this game had. And I don't often feel that way about games. I always feel like I'm kind of always making a bit of a hash of things. It's not very graceful, but by the end of this game, I don't know what happened. I just was able to just manage everything they threw at me in the most efficient and deadly way possible. I felt like a real life combat machine. The real ghost of Sparta I was, back out of retirement. And that was really empowering and addictive. That was an interesting kind of transition where I got to a point and I was like, you know what, this is the combat's maybe a little bit, and then I don't know what it was. Maybe I just picked up on Ronnie unlocked some new moves that he didn't know he had, and then I was obliterating things as I was before, and it just felt great. But that was just an interesting little journey that I went on. I thought I'd call out.
Yeah, I love using the axe, and to your point, my favourite thing to do is throw it and recall it almost all the time. Especially in combat, I think there's just something really satisfying about that, especially if you've watched Thor. It's so, well, pretty much similar to how that operates. It's so satisfying and well executed that I find a lot of my combat, at least at the stage of the game at the moment, revolves around that much as possible, because it's just extremely satisfying. But it's interesting you say, you do feel a lot more powerful, although it's still at times quite challenging a bit earlier on in the game. I've been waiting for that kind of ramp up in difficulty, so that's inevitable by the sounds of it. Yeah,
it'll come, and then you'll get over it. It's not like I said, the challenging part is that if you want to go for the trophies and do the end game and the really hard optional stuff, that You know what? People built it up to be really difficult. I found it was challenging, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't. I was expecting to sit there for hours trying to do one of the bosses, and within 20 minutes they were slaughtered, and I was like, okay, that took me longer than most of the other, in fact, any other boss on the game or any other encounter in the game, but they were well and truly beaten quite quickly, which again, I ain't good at these games, these video games at high levels, but I was able to get it done. I think I had a good strategy and maybe leveled up Kratos as you're kind of supposed to. I think a lot of people forget that. It's one thing in this game, actually, that you talk about things that stood out. I was like, I forgot how much of this game doesn't rely on, but certainly you can make your life a lot easier by leveling up your gear, like committing to just putting resources into those. It does make a difference. So because I knew there was a difficult fight ahead, I made sure I had as good a gear as possible, and that's my little tip. Just keep on top of that, keep yourself ticking along, and you'll be okay with most of the things they throw at you.
Yeah, that sounds like a good tip to me. There's something that I usually neglect as well, because I'm always worried about using up resources unnecessarily. I'll find something better. Yeah. I don't want to level this up. And I tend to hoard stuff. I was guilty of it in Assassin's Creed as well, where I end up with like a bag full of gear and like struggling through with stuff sometimes. And I go, why am I doing it? Yeah. Why am I making life hard for myself?
Every survival horror game, that's what happens to me. I end the game with like 15 bazookas and I never used them. Yeah. And I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. How much easier would this game have been if I just occasionally dipped into this massive arsenal that I've accumulated? But no, I had to try and kill everything with a knife and not shoot one bullet off track. I
might need that later down the line and I won't have it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I don't think games are designed like that these days. They'll always put enough stuff in the encounter for you to get through. But I was, the way I did it on this one, each sort of category of gears, I think you got a rare, you might have uncommon, rare, legendary, then epic. I was like, right, I'm going to fully spec out one in each of them, and then only when I start to unlock a full gear set of the other one will I start to sort of pump numbers into that. So I kind of made sure that I was doing that as I went. But obviously, as I spent the points, I immediately was like, oh my God.
What have I done?
What if I never find any more of that hack silver again, even though I've got 300k of it sitting here? Good Lord.
Silly, isn't it? So I guess, probably makes sense to see whether this re-review sits where it did before. So with that in mind, I guess we should visit the Dimp Digital Gallery, which is making an appearance these days. I don't know if we've formally introduced the gallery. We may well have done, we may well have not done yet. It depends what order these things go out, doesn't it?
They'll pick up on it, these lot. I understand.
But broadly speaking, we've got the Dimp Digital Gallery, which is, and we're visiting Apps's wing, which has got sub-wings, I'm going to call them, with the platinum, gold, silver, and bronze wings. I mean, I think we know where this is going to go. This isn't going to go. We're not going to be it's not going to not get in the gallery, which is, of course, an option. But do you want to replace the revisited review in your gallery apps?
Yeah, easiest positioning ever. It'll just sit alongside its 2018 playthrough in the platinum wing and hang out as at the top echelon of my personal gallery. So really no controversy there. Holds up just as well, if not better, and still a special game, and probably will be until the end of time. It really is terrific. Goes in that platinum wing, easy. I do have a question for you, because you mentioned earlier that you'd played the game and then sort of not played it, and then we're blaming locations of consoles as the reason. But this feels like it's right up your alley, just because not only is it a good game, great game, special game to me, but it's this Norse, and it's from what I can gather, compared to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, there's a lot of threads between the two, because they're both using that Norse backdrop. But Odin in particular and other characters are kind of portrayed very differently in God of War than they are in Assassin's Creed. I really like this kind of gritty, antagonistic thing that's going on. But I really thought this would hook you in, and then you'd have to just see it through to see all these characters that no doubt you've read about and seen countless shows about, kind of brought to light in this fantastic video game. But the hooks are not there. What's going on?
The hooks are there.
Wow.
It's not a case of I haven't enjoyed my time in it, because I have. I think sometimes I'll be sitting in my office here and I'll go, oh, do you know what? I think the biggest problem it's got is I don't feel like it's a game I can pick up for 40 minutes and play. Like, I think that's where I'm struggling with it. Is that I think, I'll have a break from work for a bit, or over lunch, whatever it is, and I'll pick something up. I'll bung some Rocket League on. I can do a couple of quests on Assassin's Creed. I could do a little bit on Pokemon. I guess that's the difficulty that I've got, is that I generally don't have large periods of time or lengths of time where I can pick him up and devote the time that it deserves. So I think it's definitely on the list of things that I'm going to do and see through. It's not fallen off the radar. It's still there.
Yeah.
Getting Assassin's Creed done was a big thing.
Yeah.
I want to see through Pokemon. And then I think I've probably got a little bit of a gap, I'd say. I don't think there's anything there beyond that. Although saying that, I've picked up a game called, is it Yoko or Yuko, I've seen that's distracting me slightly at the minute. Yoku's Island Adventure, for some reason, has got a look in. But yeah, it's definitely there. All the hooks are there. It's just around, I want to immerse myself in it to get the most out of it. And I think that's just what I'm struggling to get at the minute. It's the time to do that.
Yeah, fair enough. It's a game that I'd recommend to most people out there. Because even if you don't like the story type of things in games, it doesn't really get in the way too much. Like, it's not like, like 20-minute cutscenes where you're not doing anything. Kind of straddles that line quite well. But no, Platinum game for me, God of War, and great to go back and revisit it. Great to finally pick up that Platinum and chuck that in the trophy cabinet somewhere. And looking forward to see what's in store next for the series and the impending sequel, which we'll be looking forward to playing. Anyway, I think we'll log off for this particular episode. As usual, patreon.com/Dimp Digital is the place to go. If you want to support us financially, you can join the community. £2.50 a month, UK pounds, that is. Probably even, well, actually, it'd be more expensive, wouldn't it, in America, because the dollars are higher. So probably closer to be like
$3.99, $4.
Yeah, I mean, look, come on, what can you get for that these days with this bloody inflation? Not a lot, and that ain't going up anytime soon. So that's the way to go there if you want to be supporting us. If not, we are very happy to have you watching and listening to the end of this podcast. We'll speak to you next time. Nothing more for us to say here, though, other than thanks for your time and ta-ta.
This was a Dimp Digital production.